What you may be seeing here, kind of going to go over some things that we've been discussing here in the past months. And everything has been about OIDSI. Everything has been about dark matter consciousness. Things of heaven, or things that were occurring in a world before you came into quote unquote this world. You know, it's all one, but we look at heaven and earth actually as two different things when trying to give explanation and definition. OIDSI, the container, the calabash, the manifestation of all things, the container that holds the keys to the manifestation of all things. And as we've been talking about that, one of the first classes we did was called Alashe, which means a person of power. Allah, derivative of light, and Ashe, of course, derivative of the power within, or the complement of so be it, let it be so, or it is done. So as we have moved from Alashe into OIDSI, or everything that existed, and that how it broke into different parts and pieces and came into this dimension into form. Things without form coming into form. And so those are some of the things we've been talking about. So, you know, again, our quest is to get into OIDSI. And of course, my goal was to be talking about Ejiogbe or Ikumeji and all of that way back in February and March. But the more that we began to do the research, and the more we've been talking with the other Babas, the other Iyas about information, it's very important to just understand first and foremost who you were, what you were before you came into form, which is the same thing of how OIDSI exists. These patterns or these forms that when you go for divination, they come down on the mat, we interpret them, and tells you about your life, of where you come from, where you are, and where you're going. Okay, this is geometry. This is a form of sacred geometry, how things come into existence. And so before we get into just saying what are you looking at that came out of that calabash or that container that's in front of you, before we interpret that, we need to go back and see how the container contains things and how that energy moves, shifts, and come into what we call a being or something. So it's not so much as where you are, we have to actually go back and look at kind of like existence before your existence. So it's important to do that, because that way you can understand the kinds of experiences that these patterns are giving you when they're one line, one line, 1, 1, 2, 2, things like that. And it's very important to understand that as Baba Dire showed us on the posters about the inner and outer worlds. So the inner and outer world actually exists in like one container, and then it splits into the inner and the outer for you to have this experience. So if you're this being that is without form, and now you come into form, in these opposites is where you have your experience to produce the one. So anyways, with that said, and still dealing with that type of energy, one of the things that I wanted to do and go back into, because the first OIDSI is called Ejiogbe, and Ejiogbe is called first light. So in order to understand the light that comes out of the darkness, or the light that comes out of OIDSI, we need to understand some things about light, because we always like to say we're light beings, you know, so-and-so died, or they had a near-death experience, they saw the light, or they went into the light. So we have to break down and try to find out exactly what does this mean, and why this concept of light is so important. But yet light had a mama, and that mama was called darkness. That mama was called OIDSI. And of course we say Odu, Medu, Voodoo, Hoodoo, Doodoo. It's the dark stuff, or the stuff that's in the container, or the calabash. So one of the things I wanted to do, and this is very, very key. So anybody that's watching this class, please, please ask your God brother, ask your God sister to go back and watch these classes. And I say this is because it's not about your attendance in group meetings It's about you getting the information, even if it's in the privacy of your own home, 1 week from today, when you actually have the time to sit down and comprehend what we're saying. That's important. And the reason why that's important is because the concept of E5 for the 100th time means to expand. If you're not expanding, shame on you. Everything else is. And if you don't expand, you will be left behind, even if you're a practitioner of E5. And sometimes a chicken, a pigeon, a golden rooster ain't gonna get you out of the predicament you're in because you haven't changed the way you think. So it's important that you keep up with this and don't be so quick to run out and get some powder and some soap and do a ritual to try to expand your consciousness. That is not how you're going to do that. Okay. So it's important for you to understand where we're coming from. And some FYI, as I was explaining this to someone the other day, there is a method called Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy. It is how a lot of the Western world teaches us in our process of school. There's a type of process that involves knowledge, application, comprehension, synthesizing, synchronizing, evaluation. That's how we teach at OIDSI. So when I give you information and we try to synthesize it, whether it's with a movie, a song, an animal, a color, a dream, or another system, it is to try to validate the collective consciousness and or the drama of the human condition. So when you're running around here in your ocean of emotion because you think somebody has done you wrong, or somebody has said something wrong, or you feel all out of sync, all you have to do is look in the mirror. There may be a lack of understanding or comprehending on signs and symbols. And everything is a lesson. So before you jump into the wagon of the blame game, or you know, when you say, I hate this job, that job means something. Why did you apply for it? And why have you been there so long? It may be time to move, but you need an exit strategy. You need a plan. Because just as well you need it in the beginning and you don't need it anymore, there's a reason why. It's the same thing with a relationship. It's the same thing with a friendship. It's the same thing with everything else, even down to the place that you live in. And this is important because when we deal with this metaphysical science and sacred science, all of this plays out on your stage. So it's always sound like a bunch of X's and O's and all this great philosophical wisdom and science and physics and all that. That's fine, but it also plays out in the drama of the human condition. So it's important to you to understand how to take personal responsibility and be accountable for your path, your destiny, and your purpose. So I want you to put on your thinking caps, and we're going to go back to something that I gave, me and Baba Dare gave back in 2008 when Barack Obama was running for president. He's running again. This is over 4 years ago. It's over 4 years ago when we gave this lecture, and we began on this quest to try to tell people this whole connection between your outer world and your inner world, and how everything that is outside of you occurs inside of you. Everything that is above is below. Everything that is within is without. As Solomon says, there's nothing new under the sun. So what we're here to do, I'm going to go over a lesson out of a book called Ancient Future by Wayne Chandler. This is going to be very important to the very end of why you're going to, this person, Alashe, a person of power, you're this spiritual being, you're this light being, like with that word light, and also what they call you a conscious unit. You're a unit of consciousness. And you made a choice to come here and have an experience. Okay? And this whole concept of where you come from, what you're going to do, and then you're going to go back. Okay? Keeping that because it's important in spirituality that you just not hear and understand, you comprehend, so you can do an evaluation and give feedback to the deities to have your blessings to go forward. Just because you heard somebody say something, just because something worked for somebody don't work for you, it's something you are not getting. Trust me. Ashe? Ashe. Okay, so I'm going to read this and I'm going to try to go over this board with some things that I've written. Okay. This is from the book Wayne Chandler. This is from the Universal Law of Rhythm. Y'all should all have a copy of the Kabbalion. In your manual, it says the Kabbalion will deal with the 7 universal laws. This comes from the principle of rhythm, and this is what we're talking about here. And the keys to which we're going is to be found in what the ancients called the Great Year, and I just want to explain that. The Great Year was known to all civilizations of the ancient world, though we may conclusively say that it was discovered or first utilized in Kemet, which is the Africans along the Nile Valley River, and India. The Egyptians employed it as a great celestial timetable, predicting events long before they unfolded. Like so many universal phenomena locked into the mythos of ancient wisdom, the Great Year expresses itself macro and microcosmically. That's an inner and outer. Microcosmically, the Great Year determines what is called the precession of the equinoxes, which operates in accord to the 23.5-degree tilt of the Earth's axis. This 23.5 degrees of tilt gives the illusion of unsteadiness to the Earth as it rotates and revolves around the Sun. As a result of the illusion of a reeling Earth, the magnetic North Pole portrays a slow retrograde circle around the North Pole of the ecliptic. The positions of the equinoxes gradually change to a counterclockwise motion, and the pole star is supplanted for another. The time given for the Earth's axis to complete this cycle is 25,920 years. The time given for the Earth's axis to complete this cycle is 25,920 years. The Egyptians divided this astronomical event into 12 partitions, each represented by a constellation, usually symbolized by an animal. From these constellations, we derive the 12 signs of the zodiac, originating from the Greek word zoion, which means animal. It's also where you get the word zoo. Moving through a constellation at the rate of 72 degrees or 72 years per degree, we find the precessional circle represents 1 month of 2,160 years in the Great Year, and each month constitutes an age. When 2,160 is multiplied by 12, it equals 25,920 years. So what they're saying is that the age, when Jerusalem on the ass, the oldest symbol for intelligence was an ass. That was the devil, Set, Satan. That's what a jackass do. It sets. Or the sun set, which is the darkness, things you don't know. So Christ going into Jerusalem basically says that I have humanity, and your wisdom conquers intelligence. So that's the symbolic of him riding to Jerusalem on the back of an ass. Okay? So in age, and he said, going to the new city, there you see a man bearing a pitcher of water. That's in the Bible. That is a sign of Aquarius, which means the age of a Pisces of 2,160 years is coming to an end. And we're getting ready to start this age of Aquarius. We're on the cusp. Some say we're in. We'll begin another 2,160 years. Multiply this 2,160 by 12, you'll come out to 25,920 years, which is the Great Year. Everybody with me? Okay. The macrocosmic manifestation of the Great Year synthesizes the astro mythos with the essential dynamics of human evolution, both physically, outer, and spiritually, inner. The Great Year, in its microcosmic expression, concerns itself with ages of planetary as well as individual change, creating geologic, social, religious tribulations. tribulations of the period or age. It sets the stage for the drama in which humanity must endure. The principal focus of the great year is the spiritual evolution of all humankind. Not just humans, humankind. Things that are kind of like humans. As human beings, we are by design genetically coded to the unwritten rhythms of this grand cycle. I'm going to say that again. As human beings, we are by design genetically coded to the unremitting rhythms of this grand cycle. I'm going to add numerically, astrologically, and karmically. The following example will show how intrinsically bound the human race is to the astrobiological sequences of the great year. The average rate of respiration in human beings is 18 breaths per minute. In an hour. The average course is 18 times 60, which equals 10,080 breaths. Remember this number, 1080. In a period of 24 hours, one day, the average is 1080 times 24 equals 25,920, which is the cycle of the great year. And this is why you often say, have a great day.
Yes.
Ashe?
Come on, preacher.
As we breathe 18 breaths per minute, our average pulse rate is 72 times a minute. 72 is also the time it takes to transit one zodiacal degree in any of the 12 constellations. 72 pulses per minute equals 4,320. This is in the Kali Yuga in India, or our current epoch is 432,000. Though these correlations are fascinating, the indispensable theme is that all these numbers, when added, equate to 9. Ashe, or Yah. There's no secret. There's no accident that Pluto is in Capricorn. In this period of change for 16 years, to my understanding, according to Baba Shango Diary, forgive me, Priest of D5, I think we're 4 years into it. In the science of ancient Egyptian numerology and sacred geometry, the numeral 9 was regarded as one of 4 omnipotent primordial numbers. It represents humanity, the end of cycles, and how these two aspects of creation engage one another. Now, Baba Femi, what does got to do with Odu? I know that's what does it got to do with E5? Okay. Before I get into the second half, this is halftime and I want to talk about something. If you get a book, one of the books is called EFIism. And in EFIism, Dr. Ebay, basically what he does, he gives all these chapters and information about these scenarios, these stories, these happenings that played out in heaven long before anything became permanent and consistent on earth. So this is what they're saying, as above, so below. There's nothing here on earth playing out that didn't play out already in heaven. In other words, there's a belief that you agreed to have this experience. Ashe? Ashe. Now, Orishas are divine forces of nature. In the Bible, when God say, let us make man in our image, it is believed he is talking to the divine forces. Jews call them the Elohim. The Africans along the Nile Valley, they call them the Netras, Orishas, angels, whatever. Light beings, entities that all represent a manifestation of the construct that you come down here to be a part of and have an experience. They represent your experience, your hologram, this holodeck that we're on, this dream state that we're in, having this experience. They represent the forces that may help maintain some of the construct. Wind, air, fire, water, earth, hot, cold, young, old, dark, light, good things you judge, bad things you judge, lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. Now, I asked you to put on your cap if you remember back when I read all of this some time ago. And right now you're like, you're little metaphysicians. A metaphysician can break down to Medunetta, it can break down to Mother Nature. You're children of nature. You're representing the practitioners of the natural order of things. You are a priest. You are a priestess. If you're not even initiated into that, you're acting like little priests and priestesses because you are not conformists. You can't do church, mosque, and synagogue. You can't do that. It doesn't roll with you. It doesn't dwell with you. You need to expand. You want more. So this is basically saying you are a little sacred scientist. And you want to know the existence of things. You want to know how things ebb and flow, how they roll. This is the people that still have a connection with the world that they came from and have a great desire to have that heaven here on earth. And that's the way you are genetically coded. Something happened on the way to the church, to the mosque or the synagogue. Even though those particular systems are set up, for some reason it's not always taught that way. So we won't beat up church, mosques, and synagogue today. We'll just go on to the people who we consider weird, us. Okay? So, there's a deity called Eshu, black and red. Black is the unknown, red is the desire. As in the nothingness, there has to be desire to move forward, to go forward. So out of this nothingness comes a desire. That desire is coded in something we call red. When that red begins to activate itself, it wants to go forward. This is why Eshu is considered the opener of the way. This is why Eshu rests at the top of the Opon circle, the divining tray. Mainly because that's how we go to and fro. There's a lot to talk about. We will talk about as we begin to talk more about Odu, about Eshu's role within the pelvic and the womb. We'll get into that, but for the most part, this is why Eshu is often depicted as a penis, because it deals with the potential, the potency that wants to go forward. It is the intent to go forward. It is a directive principle to bring something out of darkness into light. So therefore, Eshu is the avatar with that penis showing you to go forward or to open up the way to bring in light. So the male spermatozoa is basically liquid light that has to come out of the darkness going forward to bring things into existence. Ashe? Ashe? Okay. So I want to read something that's going to connect something else. And this is from a guy by the name of Bruce Cathy. Cathy, C-A-T-H-I-E, Bruce Cathy. And this is chapter 9 of the Cathy Grid. And what this brother is talking about, he actually was part of some UFO studies. And what he found out miraculously, that UFOs operate spherically. Like a lot of their sightings are often depicted upon, if you take one sighting over here and look at another sighting over there, it's often a straight line. And sometimes it's spheric and it runs in an arc. So you're dealing with a cube and a sphere when you come to what we believe as alien intelligence or how UFOs move or ebb and flow. Now that's a whole nother Oprah show. We'll get into that later. But the main thing that I want to try to do is this guy, you can Google it, his name, Bruce Cathy. And of course, what we're talking about here is light. We're trying to work our way to Egiogbe, which is the first Odu, which is light. So now I got to explain to you what is light and why is this symbol of Egiogbe depicted in these straight lines. So I'm going to erase this here. Remember those numbers.
Have water.
It's not good or what?
I just say CHI. Okay.
Huh?
Okay, CHI.
Okay, I got it.
Bobby, you said K-A-T-H-I or C-H-I?
C-A. C-H-I. Bruce Cathy.
Oh, T-H-I.
Okay, that's the Odu Egiogbe, or Ogbe mentioned. And that deals with the first Odu of 256, which speaks of first light or all light. Now, I left that over here because I'm gonna put some things up over here. But please put on your caps if you want to close your eyes and kind of listen to what I'm saying to visualize it better. That's a good way to do it as well. Okay. Cathy, and I'm going to read this verbatim the way I put it out so you'll know what I'm saying when I say Cathy. Cathy began to make some serious connections between this grid and the energy that it produces. This grid is what we're talking about. Put it like this, the earth has a skeletal frame.
Okay.
In other words, you know, the longitude, the latitude, the sacred mounds, sacred points, sacred grids. That's what it's talking about. You even have your special grid. You can actually get an astrological chart done, and they can show you from an astrologist called a cartography where you would be most productive on this planet. It'll show you that you'll be most productive in the planet, even on other continents, as well as would America. One of my grids was South America, and it ran along that side of Ecuador. In 1987, I was on a tour to play basketball with the South American team, with the American team in South America, and I had one of the most spiritual experiences. The basketball was cool, but looking back at it, it was one of the most spiritual moments I had. Same way with West Africa. I run a grid also in Australia. These are all the places I plan to visit before I transition. If I say the same. Okay, so Cathy began to make some serious connections between this grid and the energy that it produces. Without question, his single greatest contribution to the future technology of human civilization is his cracking of the code behind the unified field theory of physics. Bob, you still ain't told us what this got to do with Odu and Orisha. Now you went off to the unified theory of physics. That's because my goal is not to make you a punk-ass priest and priestess. That's all. Ashe?
Ashe.
This theory, as we have stated in the past, would unite gravity and electromagnetism, among other things, giving us the opportunity to create gravity with electricity, producing propulsion systems similar to those found in what we believe UFOs. Now, Einstein's own equation of relativity gets very close to the unified field in and of itself, almost everyone knows that the equation reads as follows. Energy equals mass times the speed of light is squared, or E equals mc2.
You got it.
As amazing as it must sound, hold on. What Einstein hoped to do was to solve this equation for the speed of light alone. He believed that the value for mass could eventually be substituted as a measurement of light. If this was done, then all creation could be expressed as being made up of pure light. Mass and energy entirely a function of light. This is the true unified field that Einstein was searching for. As amazing as it must sound, Kathy solved this problem. In the grid, he discovered an expression of mass that was phrased in terms of the speed of light. However, even though Kathy cracked the code of the unified field theory, what is actually more interesting and important to us is the discoveries that he made along the way. Also at this time, I want to give thanks to Brother Kimya Bonner, Bobby Falfori of Las Vegas, who was in a conversation. We was in a conversation together, and he brought this information to me. It's just amazing how he will bring you those people and that information when you're trying to get people to understand certain concepts and definitions. So, Baba, thank you very much. Okay. As Kathy approached the solution to the puzzle, he unearthed many fundamental discoveries that forever changed our understanding of sympathetic vibrational physics and the precise numbers involved in studying these universal vibrations that determine the behavior of zero-point energy, or ether. Okay, I have exactly less than 10 minutes to read this. The speed of light, as we know, is measured in seconds. One of Kathy's initial discoveries involved coming up with a different way to measure time in order to equate it more precisely with the harmonics of the Earth's grid itself. Right now, our system of seconds works quite well for us, counting in a 60-base system. We have a day of 24 hours. Kathy discovered that harmonics of the math for the grid become much simpler if we have a day of 27 grid hours instead of our usual 24. Now, he discovered that the harmonics of the math for the grid become much simpler if we have a day of 27 grid hours instead of our usual 24. One of the reasons for 27 is simply done by factoring an 8 to 9 ratio. In other words, for every 8 hours in our current system, there are 9 hours in the harmonic system.
Okay.
Since this is a very simple adjustment, it certainly is possible that this is a natural aspect of the universe. In other words, both the 8-base system and the 9-base system will show different types of harmonics. 8 is the basis of the octave, and 9 is the basis of the diatonic musical scale. Now, people, I want you to bear with me because remember a number I gave you, 1080. Remember that? 1080. Remember I gave y'all that number? And 1080 was derivative of 18 times 60, which is 18 breaths per minute times 60 is 1080. 27 grid hours. 27 and a half days. Your other Babalawo, Shango Dare, has based his Christ seed report upon that. Every 27 and a half days is your Christ seed time. The Christ seed, if you want to know more about it, is in your very first Arboretum manual. This is simply done by factoring an 8 to 9 ratio. In other words, for every 8 hours in our current system, there are 9 hours in the harmonic system. Both the 8-base system and the 9-base system will show different types of harmonics. What principle did I read this from?
The rhythm.
Principle of rhythm. 8 is the basis of the octave, and the 9 is the basis of the diatonic musical scale. So, to arrive at this new time value, all you would do is increase the number of hours in the day. You would leave the same values of 60 minutes per hour and 60 seconds per minute. Obviously, this would change the value for hours and minutes, making them shorter. Since you now have to squeeze 27 hours into a regular day of 24. So if we solve the number of grid seconds in one grid day, we come up with 97,200 grids second total, which is basically this. That's right.
60 by 7.
This is seconds, and this is minutes. If any reader decides to start dividing 97,200 by fundamental harmonic numbers such as 9, interesting things will happen. 97,200 divided by 9 equals 10,800. Excuse me, 10,800, a harmonic, which is a harmonic of 10,080. Okay? A harmonic of 1080, which is the fundamental geometric number for the moon, which is your crisis report of 27 and a half days, your lunar return. Remember, before the solar calendar, that was a what?
Lunar.
EFI days are based upon 7 times 4. That's 7. That's 4 ETI. That's 7 days of EFI. Well, EFI weeks are 4 days. If you count 136 and add all those numbers together, and 36 is also a key harmonic number in the diatonic musical scale we have shown. 1080, the moon number, is also precisely half of the moon's diameter in regular English miles. And that is an important point, because 1080 half times 2 is 2,160 mile diameter of the moon is quantitatively indicated to the 2,160 year of the age. Remember I gave y'all 2,160?
Yeah, moon cycles.
times 6.
It's a 1320 count.
Remember we said 18 breaths per minute. 18 times 6 is 1080. 1080 in a 24-hour period comes out to be 25,920. So basically, 2,160 times 12 is also 25,920. So basically, when we said the great year of 25,920 years is also representative of 25,920 breaths you take a day, actually the great year also occurs in a day. Which means you go through 2,160 years, you go through 200,160 in a day. You see? So this is how they were able to understand upcoming events. If it's happening today,
It's happening.
it's going to happen in the future. If I can see today, I can see the future. If I can divine today, I can see the future. Matter of fact, I can see which was.
It all correlates.
It all correlates. And it goes on to say, in fact, that 12 of these zodiacal ages added up to 25,920, which we already said before. So this is our first hint that the ancient measurement of the inch, foot, and mile may be directly connected to the universal harmonic system. If we divide 97,200 by 9, we get 1,200. Another fundamental number as the harmonic of 12. Anyone who wishes to play with this and know a little about harmonic numbers will quickly be satisfied. Now, here we're getting into the good part. It's where it comes up with OIDSI, OIDSI, and all the stuff we know as E5. Now, although this does not correspond with the current measurement of time rooted in the number 8, it appears to be the best way to rectify the Earth's orbit with the harmonic system. We will show, as we'll go along, that 97,200 grid seconds is a very important number for charting the pulsating frequencies of a CU. What is a CU? A CU is a conscious unit, which is what you are. You are a unit of consciousness. This is the last thing. It's called the harmonic speed of light. Since we've been talking about where you come from, y'all gonna have to work with me and put on your Sunday school cap as well. The harmonic speed of light. We have now determined that Kathy has set up a basis for measuring time using a system of grid seconds, where the normal 86,400 seconds in a day based upon a harmonic of 8 are explained in 97,200 seconds based upon a harmonic of 9. Blah, blah, blah. In so doing, one day of Earth's rotation will split up into 27 or 9 times 3 grid hours instead of 8 times 3, which is 24. Remember using the 8-9 ratio. Because 9, as I stated before when I read out of the book, that's how you add up all these numbers that come out to be 9. So, people, let me pause here for a second. And let me just kind of give you a little bit of food to work with. If you know OIDSI, and they use an 8 ratio of how things exist or how things move in time. In E5, the first OIDSI number 1 is what? In D-Logoon, OIDSI number 8 is what? Ejiogbe. Both of those correspond to OIDSI, which is the king of light. Ashe? Everybody with me?
Yes.
See how easy that is? See, we're just going into the intricate part, so when you make those prayers and you make those offerings, you're not just repeating what that book said. You're not just repeating what Baba Femi said. You're going to know what light is, what its function, where it came from, and what it means, because that's what you are, a unit of consciousness. You are a lashe, a person of power. But when you come here with all this drama, which is part of your makeup,
Must endure.
that's it. The drama is what teaches you. But when you stay in it, dwell in it, cook in it, stew in it, you become a beast of your own kind. You stop being human and you become humankind. You start acting like a human with all this drama.
Not able to keep your breath.
You're not able to keep your breath. That's why they say calm down, breathe.
Yeah.
Because what? You're off. You're going into the beastly nature.
Starting to breathe 36 times a minute or something.
Yeah. Your breath gets short. Whoa, come back to earth.
I feel that.
Matter of fact, come back to heaven. Okay. In doing so, one day Earth's rotation was split up into 27 or 9 times 3 grid hours. The number of grid seconds per day comes out to be the extremely harmonic number of 97,200. This is how Kathy achieved the first steps toward putting the speed of light in grid terms, getting a time measurement based upon grid seconds. The incontrovertible truth of Kathy's finding is that the grid speed of light is exactly come rest this, hold this. Put down 144,000.
Ah, that's
We going to church.
I knew I was on path even then.
Okay. When you, and we're speaking on that 9 times 3 grid hours, and basically the number of grid seconds per day comes out to be the extremely harmonic number of 97,200. So what we're dealing with, the speed of light as we now express is measured in miles per second. We have already seen how Kathy converts the value of a second into a harmonic ideal. The grid second, we now also need to convert our regular system of miles into a grid-based measuring system.
Ah, okay.
As we remember from a discussion in the works of Alma Michel and the UFO track lines that were systematically spaced apart from each other, Kathy used a system of a nautical mile to determine where the grid lines were placed. We also know that 1 nautical mile is equal to 1 minute of arc on the Earth's surface, and that there is a grid line every 30 minutes. So what we need to do is change the miles in the speed of light equation into nautical miles or minutes of arc, as the two are interchangeable. Therefore, the grid speed of light would be expressed as times minutes of arc per grid second. The incontrovertible truth of Kathy's finding is that the grid speed of light is exactly 144,000 minutes of arc per grid second in free space. As we look further, we can see the fundamental harmonic value of 144,000 for the speed of light is precisely the same as the fundamental harmonic values for many different things, including the Mayan calendar is tuned as 144,000 Earth days.
There you go.
The Bible number of the 144,000 souls who will ascend. The fundamental building block of all sound vibration frequency is 144. The fundamental Jamaican frequency numbers for light, 144. And of course the harmonic of 12 times 12. So what this is saying is 144,000 means light. So, dear Jehovah's Witnesses, the 144,000 that will go back to heaven depends upon you knowing your path, your purpose, and fulfill your destiny. You have attained the perfect harmonic of 360 degrees.
Yeah, it's not a numerical number, it's a harmonic number.
It's a harmonic number. This is why we go back to class 1 and say you are a lashe. And what does that mean?
Unit of
A person of power. Per means through. Son means son through sound. We come into existence through sound.
Harmonics.
Everything must be done in rhythm to raise you up the dance. That's why black folks dance. Usain Bolt and the Jamaican team and the American team both set a world record by pushing each other into the dance.
Yes.
Time doesn't exist in the dance. That's why they continue to break world records, because we are expanding. 50 years ago, that was unheard of to run less than 40 seconds for a 400-meter relay. We're down to 36 seconds. He is the fastest human. No, he is not. He's the fastest human that we know of now. A baby was just born today that will outrun him. Because we are expanding. We work through sound of the harmonic resonance.
Right, the resonance.
So we expand through sound.
We have to
We have to dance. We have to speak. We have to move. We can't rest in itself. What do we say? All around the world, same song. Change it. You have to change the energy. You can't rest. Things cannot rest in itself. We cannot practice E5 the way it was practiced 500, 400, 300, 200, 150 years ago. It expands. You don't always need a goat, a sheep, a chicken, a rooster, and pigeon. That's symbolic.
So there, oh, okay, I get it.
We're all light. Where we come from, how we came through, Odu is where we go back. So there's no 144,000 people. It is the completion of your own play, your own experience.
Your own Odu.
Your own OD.
That explains the
Living my
harmonic convergence
Odu.
of the Maya.
So ODUs have a planetary and numerical expression and definition. They have to. So yes, when you get an ODU, it has a numerical expression, a mathematical expression. It has a planetary expression. ODU is also derived in Greek. They call Odus or Otis. In the book Stolen Legacy, the first thing that a priest of Amun-Ra must do is know the 42 books of Hermes, or the singer Odus. It is a rhythm. Universal law, everything moves, nothing ever rests. Spirituality. Let me go finish. So the gematria meaning for the number 144 is light. Obviously, we must question if this archaic designers of this biblical numerological system were aware of the same information as Catholic. We now see that they were right. 144 really is light. So yeah, 144,000 will go back, but that's not 144,000 people. Dear Jehovah's Witness, there's not 144,000 people. That's 144,000 people live on one in a suburb.
It would be.
So you're saying a particular suburb is going to heaven, and the other billion people are going to hell.
We're getting there, God. 138,000.
It would still be like it would be like a harmonic of 144. That would be like 1,444,000.
As another interesting harmonic point, physicist John Nordberg reveals that current physics still uses the time unit based on a traditional second. And this unit is a direct statement of how fast the second hand moves through a 360-degree circle on a clock face, as opposed to how fast the sun moves in one 360-degree circle through the sky. I think you just said this is why black folks don't do things on time.
Preach.
There are 86,400 seconds in the sun's 360-degree arc, representing 1 day of time. So to get the amount of relative movement between 1 second in the 360-degree clock face and 1 second in the sun's apparent 360-degree movement, we divide 86,400 by the number of seconds in one 360-degree circle, or 1 minute, which is 60 seconds. The ratio that we're left with is 1440, which represents our current perception of time. In other words, 1 second of our time is 1,440 times faster in its movement through the arc that the movement of the sun through the arc it traces to our sky. I think he just explained this is why black folks can rap without writing stuff down. Yes, that's what it means. Freestyle. When we combine this with Captain's true harmonic value of 144,000 arc minutes for the speed of light in 1 grid second, we can see that there are quite interesting harmonic parallels there. More importantly, the speed of light is harmonically at the same speed of the Bakun in the Mayan calendar, measuring units in the Great Cycle, as we will see later on. It also a function of the harmonics make of the consciousness units. Again, the CUs, that's us.
CUs, yes.
So there's a fundamental relationship between light itself, sound, and the solar cycle. The solar cycle is a pulsation of light expressed through planets and star rotations. The light pulsation works in octaves, giving us the dimensions. Kathy has just told us above that light forms as spheres as it travels, and a CU, us, is a spherical energy that pulsates. So therefore, when we say we are Odu, we have an Odu, it pulsates. That experience that we're having, we live in a vibration. This is universal law. We vibrate, we pulsate, we move. We have a heartbeat. Oh, let's check its pulse. We're living, breathing entities. We're conscious units in a flesh, and we come through sound. And that sound, one of the reasons why we can divine and know what was is become, because of our mathematical expression coming into existence also is our mathematical expression in its existence. So this is why we say in heaven, we wrote our contract.
Ashe.
And this is why when we wrote our contract and we came into it at a certain day, at a certain time, our astrological forecast can be predicted because of the time and numbers. And of course, with the letters in our name, Baba Direct takes and break down your whole numerical chart.
Yep.
Sister Enola, like other astrologicals, or what would you call them? Astrologers,
Same.
can determine all these signs and houses. And just as well as you move through a great year over 25,920 years, you move through a great day. It's just faster.
Yep.
So when you use an 8-9 ratio, and the reason why he put that 9 in there, because everything...
Oh, so every 27 and a half days is 25,000 some odd hours?
That's what it's saying. Basically,
so it's seconds, hours. Okay, got you.
Years.
Okay, we're talking breaths, then seconds, then minutes, then
I was thinking
hours.
about Baba's, Christ seed day. I was just
It's
doing
27 and a half
days.
Every 27 and a half days,
which is
your Christ seed
25,000.
returns.
25,000
hours.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it's, you can,
Yeah.
there's a grid, he's right, I get it.
But what he's rating, what he's doing it with is these numbers that all equate to 9.
Yeah.
But when you use it in an 8-based numerical expression, he said use it as an 8 to a 9 ratio.
Yeah, the ratio.
Which is the thing we've been using. We just, the old system of the gematria, they use it in a 9 ratio. It changed. Why?
Pisces.
Somebody may not want you to know something about yourself.
Well, I just, or as you say, the times change, and so the folks.
We're going into Aquarius, which is the age of knowing.
It's easier for folks who are not penetrators to, yeah.
And this is why we say we can use an ancient system of antiquity for a modern day expression.
Yeah.
To explain some of the things that we're going into. So the age of Aquarius, its acronym is I know. Pisces is I believe.
I believe.
And now you have to graduate from believing into a knowing.
And that's the act.
So you need to know who you are, what you are,
yes,
and get this thing off your back that if you don't do something right by a certain way, you're going to die and not be part of the 144,000. The only way you're not part of the 144,000 is not to know yourself. And know what you're here to do.
28.8.
Because at that point, very simplistic, everyday, elementary, first grade things. You're no longer in light. You're in darkness. What do you mean I'm in darkness? You're still resting and not knowing yourself. In heaven, you didn't know what experience you were going to have. That's the darkness. But when you were in heaven and you decided you were going to have an experience, you wrote a contract. You with me? So the only thing bad about heaven is not knowing what you're going to do when you come to earth. Because in heaven you know every damn thing. There is no experience. It's boring. You're so righteous. You don't make mistakes. You don't have bad days. It's milk and honey. Acid reflux. But the metaphor is everything is pure and sweet. Nothing is wrong. That's boring. There's no experience. How do you know what's bad if everything is good? Matter of fact, how do you know it's good?
How do you know it's good? That's what I'm saying, yeah.
You see? So in order to have an experience, we must create this opposite. But the blessing of the Great Mother or universe is that I'm going to give you a blueprint to follow. This is how I express myself. Or I am that I am, or it is what it is. For me to express it, I need a construct. So my language is mathematics. It won't lie to me. Nature is not going to lie to you. You simply lie to yourself and other people. Which only inhibits you to go forward properly. Truth hurts. That's why we don't let go of things. We're scared to tell people the truth, so we'll stay in a relationship. We'll stay at a job. We'll stay in a neighborhood. We'll stay in a family. We'll stay anywhere rather than face the truth. And then it becomes emotional. And our drama expands when we're only supposed to have the drama experience and then move. What did it teach you? It taught me this. Then why are you still in the class? Why are you still in second grade? Why do you keep repeating second grade? What is it you don't get? What do you mean still in second grade? Well, you keep having the same experience over and over that you judge as bad. What is it you didn't get? Why are you out of rhythm? So the Ori works in rhythm. The Ori must work in a rhythmic tone, and it must always go forward. One of the things that it talked about here, and the planets move through space not in two-dimensional circles as we usually see them, but they move in spirals. Since the galaxy is also rotating and moving, the solar system follows as a unit. If you looked at a planetary orbit in non-moving empty space, it would travel in a spiral. So we look at DNA, it looks like a what?
Spiral.
A spiral. We look at the number 8, the octave, it looks like a what?
Spiral.
A spiral. But if we know that 9 represents the number of humanity, for to be a human being and you want to experience humanity, you must use at least a 9 ratio. When everything comes up, it's a 9. In the way the universe expresses itself mathematically. So therefore, similarly, the CU, the conscious unit, starts at its center and spirals outward in its superstring. So the solar system is indeed a giant harmonic consciousness unit. So we're simply just consciousness within a consciousness. We're simply, as what the Africans said, God, we're simply us as human beings is simply God having a human experience through us.
Right.
So what the hell are you tripping about? Am I right with God? Damn, are you right with yourself? You don't know God until you go back home.
That's the point.
And you will go if you get your experience. You see? Now, I say that because spiral, if everything is moving at a spiral, and everything spiralees, this is why the serpent and the kundalini that Baba Dare shows on his poster, Oshimari, is depicted as a serpent. Because it spirals. It does this. That's life. So if we are spiraling through life, this is why we are spiritual. You see what I'm saying? It's all connected. So religion at its base is okay. It means you reconnect back. So hopefully with this class and other classes in your life, you've reconnected back. Okay, then graduate already. Get it and move on. We just told you what's going to happen in the book of Revelation. 7 seals, 7 dragons, 7 churches, 7 books, 7 signs, 7 this, 7 that. So the revelation is a revealing, and the 144,000 will make it. You got it? And the reason why we know that's an internal thing, because it talks about the ships. In the book of Revelation talks about, and then there were ships that were going throughout the earth.
Yes.
What are they talking about? UFOs? I don't know. But I do know one thing. Scientifically, biologically, the ships are often considered the cells in your body. And the earth is often represented in most metaphorical as your body. So if you take the word, if you take the letter H off the back of earth and put it on the front, it comes out to the word heart. So the ships that are pumped out through the blood and how the blood pumps it, even in the Bible said, and this is why we know it's not UFOs, it say even in those days, wormwood would not even be able to heal you. Now this is why you know it's talking about the body. Because wormwood is an herb that deals with parasitical things that can upset your stomach that the ancients used when you were sick. So if it's saying in these days and these ships going throughout the earth and even wormwood now would be able to cure you, this is why in theological school, this is why the preachers don't a lot mess with the book of Revelation. Because they're not dealing with from a place of sacred science and the harmonic resonance. Which we know in the cosmos is 7.8 as NASA states, your heart 7.8, and the resonance that the geologists say when they're digging at the Earth's core is 7.8. This is all the same rhythm. You're not disconnected. Some people say, oh, I feel so all alone. That's because you're out of touch with yourself.
No harmony.
There's no harmony. That's why the women say, girl, we gonna take you out. We gonna let you dance. And that's why sometimes you need a little spirit to forget about it. Of course, you know, too much excess of spirits can cause other problems, but we're just saying spiritual people will often use spirits.
Or can.
You see what I'm saying? You see how all that is very easily connected?
Yeah.
So this whole thing about wormwood in the Bible wormwood won't be able to kill you, because that's the revelation. That's the revealing in those last days. In the last days, it's not so much everybody, it's just you. So hopefully by the time you're getting ready to transition or complete your journey and reach your destination, you exceed. That's why everybody say, I had a near-death experience. I saw the light. Oh, you peeped into the 144.
The harmony.
Yeah, it's part of the harmony.
Transition.
And they said, I felt so at peace. I felt so alive. And the problem, because most of your days were in darkness, not knowing. And that's why you felt a sense of home. And this is why even when my Aluo transition, Baba Pega, one of the psychics said, he said when he was in his coma, he didn't want to come back. She didn't know Baba. He said, the party is over here. That's Baba Pega, if you knew him. He loved a good party.
Yeah.
And she said, Baba said, the party is over here. So when you're crying because people died, this is why they say celebrate. That's just, it's a homegoing.
That's the mom.
So if you take away the fear of death, most religions are not even needed.
Nope.
Because all they talk about is how you gonna die again when you die. That's some bullshit.
You die one time.
And everybody that hear about hell saying, well shit, that sounds like what a party is, where everybody gonna be. Earth, I mean heaven is just, waiting to go back. Everybody got on white. I'm not saying people, let's start living what we define as a hellified life. But hell is simply derivative of the word helios, which means sun. So actually the Bible,
There you go.
holy is derivative of the word helios, which means sun. So the book of the sun. Is it the sun in the sky? Or is it the sun that coming, that's what the date, so it's about the sun coming back. No, it's a solar book, it's an astrological book. It's the book of light.
Yeah, it's the book of
That's
light.
all. Sun is light. So it's the book of light.
It's the book of light.
So it's just trying to enlighten you.
That's
It's
it.
your manual, and so to speak.
Some works for
Okay.
some folks.
Everybody with me?
Okay.
Okay, we're getting ready to wrap up here. If there are any questions, you can start putting them in. If not, we will close out. But again, I say, why is this important? Not only do we see the mapping of a CU, a conscious unit, we also see its fundamental relationship to light and the harmonic light, since the harmonic principles of the CU are literally identical between the earth and the atoms. We will also see that the cycles of the solar system are also in a harmonic function. So it would appear that the Archimedes are indeed vital in demonstrating the Earth's harmonic proportions. Now that we have solved for the speed of light in harmonic time in Archimedes, we can see why it comes to our exact harmonic of 144. So you no longer have to feel or fear going to hell. The light, which is what the 144,000 mean, is important in Ifa, simply because when you get into Orishas and you get into Odu, these are mathematical expressions and part of the harmonic flow of wind, rain, water, air, lightning, thunder, mountains, earthquakes, birds, plants, animals, and on and on and on. That's Ifa. If that's the natural order of things, then when you come out of darkness, Odu heaven, and you come into earth, you have to come through light. You come in as light or person or Alashe. Allah means light. Ashe means let it be. So if Allah is first and Ashe is second, that is your life to live as Allah and then reach Ashe. So when you're dead, we say, so be it.
So be it.
You see?
Ashe.
So everything else in between is simply your experience. You made the choice to come here and do. Quit tripping. Be accountable and responsible for what you're supposed to know about yourself.
Ashe.
And get out of everybody else's old too.
Ashe.
Ashe?
Ashe.
Ashe?
Ashe.
Are there any questions?
None being posted, Baba.
No questions posted, none here.
If there are, they are on the
I do
page.
want to say again about Baba Shango Diaries poster. Oh, you want to hold this up close? This is his poster about the sacred marriage between what's that at the top? Oya and Shango.
Lightning and wind.
Wind and lightning. This is also derivative talks of the Kundalini energy rising up out of the root chakra and coming up in the whole concept of Oshumari, which is the rainbow serpent, the Orisha Oshumari, which is the derivative of Olodumare, as Baba Dare teaches that if you're going to make any symbol to Olodumare, it would be a serpent. So one of the things that we also have to remember is that with this whole mumbo jumbo of science and numbers and light, harmonics and grids and seconds, it all comes down to simple things like the ancients or a lot of systems will tell you about meditation and breathing. The first thing is start off with 18 breaths per minute. And 18 breaths per minute. And this is why meditation is important. It's why things like yoga is important. It's why things like living in a stressless environment is important. This is why things of drama can actually take you out. This is why other people's stuff can take you out. This is why if you rest too much in drama, it will take you out. Because even the nerves in the body are designed to take so much of a punch. So it's like if your nerves hit, if something hits your nerve, it will bounce back. But if it constantly hits your nerves like that, you know, you work in my nerves, you work in my nerve, it rests in that position and you become a nervous person. And SU governs the nervous system. So basically you're out of balance with SU and your Ori. So this is why the ancients say, oh, this person's a nervous wreck, they must go to SU and do work to their Ori. See how simple that is? So people say, what does that mean? Why? Oh, that's so deep. No, it's not really deep. It's trying to put you back in proper alignment. Every ritual, which is derivative of spiritual, which is what we're saying, everything is spiraling, going forward. They're trying to get you to go forward proper. And so when you're out of sync, when you're out of balance, you're out of rhythm.
Out of harmony. Not
You're out
harmony with yourself.
Yeah, you're in disharmony.
I like this word, harmony.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of the, you say alignment, I think people start overthinking. I really do, because they start, oh, my chakra, this, that. But when you think about it being more like harmony, it's just a lot easier to have harmony with yourself. It seems from like you start overthinking, you know what I'm saying? Getting alignment, it's like, oh, it's all this. We say harmony, it's just like,
harmony, at ease.
Doesn't seem so.
Disharmony, dis-ease. Simple as that. And and I've heard many people say, I'm not going to let these folks kill me. And that is a true statement. Don't let nobody kill you. Don't let nobody take you out. So one of the things, just like, a chiropractor, like Fawola, is a chiropractor, he puts you back in alignment. Yes. He makes an adjustment. It's the same thing you have to do spiritually as well. There's a reason why you're out of alignment and need an adjustment. Ashe? 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 I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You have any questions, if you archive this class late, just give me a call and we'll discuss it. Thank everybody for watching.
Right.